Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. I just firstly want to thank everyone so much for joining us tonight. On behalf of Build Up Justice NYC and Grow Brooklyn, we truly appreciate you taking the time to join us this evening. We know tax season can feel overwhelming and confusing and stressful, but tonight we want to make sure you know it's all about clarity, access to resources, and making sure you have the information you need to move forward with confidence. This first session is the first in our three-part series, and tonight we're going to focus on tax basics, breaking down important terms, reviewing key updates under the new federal tax law, and explaining what those changes may mean for you. We'll also make sure you know where to turn for trusted support and services. Our goal is super simple tonight, and is that you leave here understanding your options and feeling prepared to take the next step in your own tax situations. So, for those who may be joining us for the first time, my name is Kendra Dunstan, and I'm the Development External Affairs Coordinator here at Build Up Justice NYC. Build Up Justice NYC, formerly known as Brooklyn Legal Services Corporation A, provides free community-centered legal services to low-income New Yorkers all across five boroughs. While our name has changed, our mission remains the same, which is to advance economic and racial justice. We focus on protecting stability and long-term security for tenants, homeowners, small business owners, and families. Our work includes preserving affordable housing, eviction prevention, anti-harassment advocacy, and fair housing, community and economic development, where we support small businesses and nonprofits, and consumer and economic advocacy, which focuses on foreclosure prevention, tax assistance, wills and estates planning, and financial stability services. Additionally, we do have a domestic violence unit that assists survivors with orders of protection, child support, and custody, and more. And tonight's program directly aligns with that of the consumer economic advocacy work, where they're helping individuals and families navigate tax matters with confidence. We're also proud to partner with Grow Brooklyn, a community-based organization dedicated to strengthening Brooklyn residents through financial empowerment and housing stability. Grow Brooklyn provides free services including housing counseling, foreclosure prevention, homebuyer education, financial coaching, and assistance navigating mortgage and property challenges, and so much more. Their work helps homeowners and prospective homeowners build long-term stability and generational wealth. We're also especially honored tonight to be joined by a representative from the Internal Revenue Service who is here to provide accurate information and help answer your questions directly. It really makes a difference to have the IRS here with us in the room to provide this information and answer questions you have firsthand. So, with that, I firstly would like to sincerely thank all of the sponsors and partners who helped make tonight's program possible. Their commitment to education, outreach, and community empowerment makes events like this accessible to those who need it most. So, special shout out to Senator Roxanne Prasad, Assembly Member Lorinda C. Hooks, and New York City Council Deputy Speaker Dr. Natasha Williams. And with us tonight from Senator Leroy Comrie's office, who has been a long champion for working families, homeowners, and small businesses in our community, is Fedrice Latchman. And, we just want to make sure the senator knows how important he is to us. Senator Comrie has consistently supported initiatives that expand access to resources and protect economic stability. We are grateful for his partnership and his leadership. So, with that, I'm going to turn it over to Fedrice, who will give some remarks on behalf of the senator.
Hello, Kendra. Thank you so much for that lovely introduction. I am so pleased to be here tonight with you all. Of course, the senator regrettably could not be here at this time, but he may join us a little bit later. I just want to say that we all know how important taxes are, and we, very seldom think about how filing our taxes is so crucial and important to our financial future. And taxes, filing taxes is not everyone's favorite thing, but we're hoping that tonight we will all develop a greater affinity for being able to do our civic duty and do our taxes and help pay for things that we all will need, like Social Security, Medicare, roads, schools. and continue to bring these things moving forward. As you know, Budge has been an excellent partner and community partner, and we really could not bring half of the resources to the community into District 14 without Budge. Build Up Justice is phenomenal. So thank you, Kendra, for having us. And thank you for putting everything together. You work so hard. So thank you very much for this. And I'm sure we will all learn a little something tonight.
Thank you so much, Patrice. One, I want to say anytime I call on your office and I call you, you are always there to help and hop in. And this, as amazing as the senator is, we all know that he couldn't do without his amazing team behind him. So thank you so much for being here tonight and all of your work you do in the community and throughout the city. And with that, I would like to it's my pleasure to introduce Max B. Trizell, who is a senior stakeholder liaison with the Internal Revenue Service. Max brings over 20 years of experience in education, public service, and federal government. Throughout his career from the New York City Department of Education to the U.S. Census Bureau during the 2020 census, and now with the IRS, he has focused on strengthening community partnerships and expanding access to economic opportunity. In his current role as senior stakeholder liaison for the New York area, Max works closely with community organizations, employers, and tax professionals to provide outreach, education, and trusted information directly to taxpayers. He is fluent in multiple languages and deeply committed to ensuring communities receive accurate, accessible information from the IRS. Max, thank you so much for being with us tonight. I am so grateful for your partnership and for you sharing your expertise with our folks here tonight. So at this time, I'll turn it over to you.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. This is not the first time some of these names I know them, and I have been in an event with them, and I'm very grateful for your invitations. So I was told to talk about today what are the iOS services we have. As you know, we have plenty of services, and we have services online, and we have services on the office. Part of our services online, iOS has created iOS online account. The online account is the most important tool that's been created in a year, has been created for years. So, and then we use this tool to do many things. For example, if you have if you haven't done your taxes and you're looking for your transcript, this is the best tool to use to track your transcript. If you have a debt from iOS and then you want to pay your debt, and you can, in this tool you can create a payment plan. In this tool also you can manage to have somebody represent you, or like a tax professional. And then from this tool you can also get your transcript account, get your account transcript, or get your income statement, as known as your W-2s. We also have other services. We have a service called Tax Office. I don't know if all of you knows, because we have a tax office everywhere, and every city at least one. And then in Brooklyn we have one. And then if you have any problem with your taxes and you have a questions, you can go directly to the tax office or get an appointment. Somebody there will help you. And we also partner with Vita, which is something vital. And then Vita is the one that help you to do your tax for free. And we also partner with the most likely all the low income clinics. If you have a problem while you're doing your tax, they can represent you. As you know, the taxpayer has the bill of right. You have the right to be on to. You have the right to have a quality service. You have the right to have your tax done, and you have the right to sue IRS if you have to. You also have the right to have to be informed. And as you call me to come in this webinar, you told me to talk about the basic tax help. And if you have any problem with the iOS, don't pretend the iOS has any problem with you. You should call iOS. iOS always give you time to reflect. If you made a mistake, please contact iOS directly. Don't go to the third party. It's a wasting time from so sometimes it's a waste of time. Please, if you have any problem, call iOS directly. Because take an appointment, go to the office, because iOS is people like you. Don't be following the trend. People think iOS is scary. Look at me. I am representing iOS. And if there is any problem, whatever the problem is, there is a solution for it. If you have a problem, if you have a you've been in a hardship situation or you lost your job and you have no source of income, you need to call iOS. They will put you in a plan for hardship. And there's a taxpayer advocate there to help you. Not taxpayer advocate in the private lanes, taxpayer advocate that belong to iOS. If you own iOS and you cannot make the payment, by the way, you can also have a offer and compromise. All these tools you can even do most of these things on iOS online account. We also have a business online account, and we also have a business tax pro account. And all these tools are there to help the taxpayer. And more importantly, in iOS, we we like to have like a volunteer compliance. As you know, the tax is not just your obligations, is your civic duty as well. So, and don't let I don't if you have a tax requirement, don't let iOS is calling you and sending you email. And if you have a tax requirement, make sure you do tax on time. And you know the deadline is always come either April 15 or April 18 if it's on a weekend. So please, if you be the victim of identity theft, please contact iOS or go to the online tools, request an IP pin. All these things are there to help you mitigate or or all these things are there to help you. Let me say it like that. If you have a problem, you need to talk to someone face to face, or you want to talk to someone, you have a systemic problem dealing with this system, you can call the stakeholder liaison. We are there for you because our job is to make the system, the process easy. So I don't want to say too much because I was given like 3 minutes to talk. iOS is there because so many things happening right now, and so many changes are happening right now, and so many credit has been done because I believe they sent an email. The credit portions we're gonna discuss that following weeks. But for now, make sure you get familiar with the iOS tools. You don't need to go to the attack office and get uh, even to take a Uber. You can just go home, get your phone or get your computer, create your online account. And so that you own your records, you own your tax record, you have it in your hands. And if I have to say anything else, uh, make sure that you do your taxes because your taxes is the most important things, not only for individual as well as for business. Is the only one that show that you are successful, or that's if you don't do it, is the one that can stop you being successful, as you know. So anyway, if you're looking forward to in terms of justice, you need to rent a house or you need to buy a house, you need your taxes. You know, if you want to go to get a degree, you need to show your taxes. The taxes is the only thing that can show your 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 true identity. Anyway, that's it for me for today. In the name of iOS, thank you for being a good taxpayer. And make sure you spread the news because I'm sure that all of you are leaders. You're not just here to hear, but need to spread the news. Don't forget, Vita is for free. And there are a lot of credits this year, and within the following sessions, we can explain you what those credit means. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you so much, Max. I really appreciate you accepting our invitation, and you are absolutely correct that we are going to go in depth in some of the things that you're talking about today. And I invite you to hang around just in case anyone has any specific questions for the IRS today.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. So now, before we move on to the main part of the presentation, I just want to give you a couple of quick housekeeping notes that we will have a Q&A session at the end of the program. So please feel free at that time to type your questions into the Q&A box or the chat box on your screen. We're also open the floor. So if you don't want to chat, you can use that hand raise feature on your bar there. And at that time, I will unmute you and you can ask your questions verbally. We will do our best to answer as many questions as possible this evening, but we do respect your time also. So if we are unable to get to your question, you will have plenty of contact information and you'll be able to follow up with us or we will follow up with you. So with that, I am so happy to introduce the executive director of Grow Brooklyn, Makila Brathwaite, and a tax professional, Takia Smart, who will kick things off for us tonight. I turn it over to you, Makila.
Thank you. I am actually here to introduce Takia Smart, who is one of our taxpayer experience reps. She's been working with Grow Brooklyn for 9 years in this role. She started out in the VITA program, volunteer income tax assistance, where she worked with low to moderate income taxpayers to help them understand their liabilities and whatever credits they deserved. Volunteer income tax assistance has been around for over 50 years, but Grow Brooklyn has been a part of that family for the last 10 legitimately as Grow Brooklyn, but prior to that, we were working with the Brooklyn Cooperative Federal Credit Union. Takia, as with all of our staff and volunteers, has to go through the IRS certification process each season, sorry. And that is we have to take tests on Lincoln Learn, which means that we take volunteer standards of conduct. So if we violate those standards of conduct, we are not able to prepare taxes for anyone. We also take interviewing tests, as well as the tests to test our knowledge on tax prep. That by no means means that we are experts. It does mean that we are certified to do your taxes professionally, accurately, and correctly. So I give you Takia.
Good evening, everyone. Um, I'm happy to be here to share this knowledge with you. And without further ado, we'll commence with our presentation. So one of the things that a lot of people are always like, where do our taxes go, right? So taxes, the tax code is very long. As you can see here, it's 3.7 million words. And we do not have to read every single one of those words for our certification, which is why we're not experts, but we are very good at what we do. Americans spend billions of hours every year preparing their tax returns, and they also spend billions of dollars in preparation services. And so we're here to alleviate some of that by providing it freely for the lower income folks, right? And what are taxes? Taxes are mandatory financial charges that are imposed by the government on individuals as well as businesses to fund public services and infrastructure. We pay them to support the functioning of the government and to finance various public needs. Some of those needs are education, healthcare, transportation, and our national defense. So when we talk about where do our taxes go, this is some of the spaces and this is some of the places that affects us that we see our taxes at work. Next. So filing requirements. Next. Um, For filing your taxes, everyone who works must file taxes. That's the main thing. Um, and do you have to file, right? If you're 65 this year, means that you were born after January 1st, 1962, you must file. Uh, Also, any income you have, that gross income can come from its money, goods, services, foreign income, homes, or sales. If you have capital gains, if you without or even if you have losses, you must file your taxes. If you have Social Security, usually it is not taxed by the federal government unless you earn over a certain amount. If you are a single person or head of household, that amount is $25,000, and up to over $25,000, they start taxing a portion of your Social Security. The maximum amount of your Social Security they tax is usually up to, I believe, 80%. If you are married, filing jointly, your income, if your income is up to $32,000, over $32,000 is when you'll have to be taxed on that Social Security, right? Um, if you have a side hustle, as we call it, that made more than $400, you also will need to file your taxes with a tax form that's called a Schedule C or a Schedule F, which is something your tax preparer will discuss with you, right? Um, Married, and filing separately or live apart and you have income, you must file. So basically, there are different filing statuses. All filing statuses must file your taxes. And you have to discuss with your tax preparer what your situation is, if you're if you're separated or not, to see how you file, depending on if you have children and how long you've been separated. Next. Do you still need to file a tax return if you owe money or got special payments? If you owe taxes, you definitely need to file your taxes. Sometimes people think that when they've withdrawn money, this is what this is talking about in the beginning here. And when you talk about the withdrawals, um, you do get some of that money taken out upfront, but that isn't the taxes. It's not taxed till after when you file your taxes. Um, if you have outstanding payments or you didn't pay, for Social Security or Medicare, you still have to file your taxes, right? Um, if you have to pay back first time own homeowner buyer credit, if you took money out from your HSA, which is your health savings account, or your MSA, if you got help paying your health insurance through the marketplace, you have to file. You usually get a tax form for this specific thing, or a letter is what I've been seeing this year. There's a separate letter that some people are getting, and most people have been able to access that through their HR website, but please look out for any correspondence you got from your job having to do with health insurance that they may have put something in on your behalf in addition to the 1098 form. If you receive advanced health coverage tax credits, payments, you also must file your taxes. Next. Sorry, I forgot I'm not the one doing that. Um, your income requires it. If you earn $400 or more from self-employment, if you earn $108.28 or more from working at a church. And if you're still making installment payments on certain past taxes, with the payments that you owe for past taxes, each year is treated individually. So if you owe taxes for 2021 still, and you have to file your taxes this year, um, you one is affecting the other. So if you have if you still end up owing this year, you would have to make a separate payment plan. I don't think that is something that has changed yet, but each year is its own payment plan. Of course, as you were told before by Max, who went before us, that you can call them and make something that's appropriate given your financial situation. But each tax year is treated like its own tax year when you're filing your taxes and when you're paying back your taxes, right? Um, if you were claimed as a dependent, but you worked, you can still file your taxes. And this is usually college students who probably live away, or even if they live at home and they earn a certain amount, but their parents are still the one who is claiming them on their taxes. You will have to have a conversation with your tax preparer to make sure that you're filing your taxes accurately, specifically in this situation, because it may get rejected if you do not put in all the checks in the right places for this specific scenario. So yes, you could be held hold claimed as a dependent as well as file taxes, and it's important to do that because you might miss out on certain credits that's due to you because you may have exemptions as a dependent.
Uh,
Next,
Takia,
yes.
we do have a question from Miss Jones, and she wants to know if these dollar amounts, the 400 or more from self-employment, the 108.28 from working in a church, is that per month or is that for the year?
I believe this is annually.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yes.
Yes. So you see that, Miss Jones. If you make $400 or more from self-employment, you need to file a tax return. And Andrea, I'm not sure if they're gonna be able to answer this one right now. But Andrea wrote that she was told that if you file after April 15th, your agreement plan is voided. So if you are you saying that if you had a payment plan already and you file late, your previous payment plan is voided? Have you heard that, Takia? Or we can wait until later to answer that.
We could wait till later, but this is not something that I am aware of. This might be more of a max question because my understanding is that each year is individually, and you wouldn't have any payment agreement for the year that you haven't yet filed. Um, unless they are thinking of not making their if they're self-employed. So some people who are self-employed, they set up payments where they're supposed to pay quarterly, unless that's what they're thinking of as an agreement. But if they're paying back taxes and they haven't paid, they still can file for the current year. When they file late, that affects the current year. So let's say you owe taxes for 2024, you have whatever plan you have there. For 2025 taxes, filing late, which I'm sure we're going to get into, that's its own specific scenario for this current year. I don't know what the stipulations of that agreement plan might have been, though. So maybe the part of their agreement plan is the fact that they need to file their taxes on time, right? So that might be on an individual basis, depending on what is happening in their own situation.
Thank you. Max, did you want to add anything?
Yes, I mentioned the $400 she mentioned is for the clergy. The clergy is considered as a self-employment tax, that's for sure. And if you own money, you had an installment plan, and the following year you have a IRS debt, you can call them, make an adjustment, and they do the payment plan for you. That's something that I used to do in the tax office. If you cannot make it on your own, you come to the tax office, and then the advisor will show you how to do. They will do it for you exactly, but there's a fee for that. I don't remember exactly how much you pay, but there's a fee. That's the only thing that iOS asks you to pay for the service. Okay.
Oh, thank you. All right, we will continue
Okay.
here.
Okay, so you may want to file your taxes even if you don't have to, if you don't want money withheld from your paycheck. Um, this is for if you owe, right? Um, if you owe money or if you have a refund coming to you, so if you have a refund and you do not file your taxes, right, there's no penalty for that because that means that you just forfeited money that's owed to you, is what I'm understanding here, right? So there's no penalty. So a lot of times when we talk about if you have to, you don't have to file, what most of us laymen are thinking about is, am I going to be penalized? Right?
Well,
So, right? That's the idea here. So the IRS will never penalize you if you say, hey, keep my money, right? They're also not going to come to you and be like, hey, we check your taxes and we see we owe you money. They probably will not do that either, which is why it's important that you file your taxes, right? There are refundable credits. Refundable credits means that there are also credits that are considered non-refundable, right? How refundable credits impact your taxes is that it adds a dollar amount to your refund, a direct dollar amount. So in the event that you are already receiving a refund, then you have these credits, specifically earned income tax credit, child tax credit. I'm not sure about the additional child tax credit anymore, to be fair. American Opportunity Credit. These add a dollar amount to your tax return. And the difference with that is that when you have a non-refundable credit is that you are getting the credit, but it only impacts your tax return in the event that you owe. So if I'm getting a refund of $600 and I got one of the non-refundable credits of $1,000, it does nothing. I got my credit, but because it's a non-refundable, it just sits there. Now, if I owed the IRS $600 and I have this non-refundable credit of $1,000, the math will then cause the credit to absorb my refund. I don't, is that clear?
Yes.
Okay, people are
Um,
asking about the American Opportunity Credit. What are we asking? What
what
is
is
it?
it?
The
Hmm.
American Opportunity Credit is for those who are receiving their first bachelor degree. So I know we in the US, we always call our bachelor's degree a 4-year degree, and it does not take 4 years up for most of us. But once we are in that space where we are paying tuition to receive our first bachelor's degree, we can claim this credit. Most of the time, you need to get a tax form from the educational institution you are attending, and they would usually have on their financial aid website, or they may send you in the mail or in an email, a tax form that is a 1098T form. You use that form. It has all the pertinent information. You must be at least a half-time student. You must be attending a recognized institution. And now they've upgraded the federal part of this so that it isn't just your tuition, but also things that you need for your courses. Excuse me. So if you bought a computer and these sorts of things, you can also count that towards the cost of your college degree. Usually, if you received grants or scholarships, it is minus from what from the tuition to get the amount. Now, as New Yorkers, we could also claim this specific credit on the state side as well, which is its own thing. The only difference is that on the New York side, you could only claim tuition. So only tuition alone, no fees, no this, no that, none of that counts when you're claiming the credit on the state side. And I believe the maximum payout for that credit on the state side, I think it's is it 400? No, I think it's $400 is the maximum payout on the state side. You cannot get it on the state side if you are getting a graduate degree. Now, if you're working on a graduate degree or your second bachelor's degree, on the federal side, you would claim the lifetime opportunity credit. There's a different credit that you would claim. That's a non-refundable credit, but it is a
Um,
hefty credit.
Michaela, so just to clear up this slide here, I guess my question would be if I didn't work or anything like that, but I had one of these refundable issues like the child tax credit, should I still file even if I didn't work?
Yeah.
Um, the oh
No, go on.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. The issue then is that a lot of these credits needs you to have earned income. So you have to have some sort of earned income. So if you are a recipient of just Social Security, it's possible you may not actually be able to take advantage of some of these because if it's not being taxed. If that income is not being taxed, then you will not be getting earned income credit, even if you fall within the guidelines in terms of what you think your income is. But if that's your only source of income, then no, then it would not count. So it depends.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Next, paycheck distributions. Okay, next. So what this means is what's the breakdown of your paycheck? When you get money, you work, you earn your money. You have what you call your gross pay, which is all of the monies that you earn. So when you signed up for work, your contract, whatever they told you you're going to get paid, that's where this is before anything taken out. For self-employed, this is the same thing for self-employed people, right? Now, the other side is then you have deductions. So deductions come in many forms. You have federal income tax, state and local tax. Local tax also, we could call those municipal tax. Many jurisdictions have them. The city of New York is one such. There's your Social Security and Medicaid and Medicare that you pay into, your health insurance and retirement savings. Um, Most retirement savings come out before federal taxes are applied to your income. Then you have the net pay. The net pay is what you end up taking home. Now, in outside of deductions, there are other things that come out of your paycheck that doesn't count as a deductions because what's listed here is usually the things you're not, that comes. Usually also too, if you have a union you pay into, now you have to pay into your FMLA. There's a lot of other things that you're going to see when you get that W-2 at the end of the year. And it's probably on every pay stub you get for every pay period that shows you all the little things that come out. Some people have money that come out ahead of time for transportation. All of that stuff will be reflected on your W-2 as well in the appropriate section. Next. Well, we just talked a little bit about your W-2. So most people started getting their W-2s at the beginning of January, and everyone should have gotten them by the end of January. If you're not granted access to your W-2 or sent a copy of your W-2 by the end of January, the beginning of February, you need to contact your employer. If you are having a difficult time of doing that, you will contact the IRS to assist you in getting your documents. As I mentioned before, your W-2 shows you the money that was earned and what was taken out of your income for the previous year. And you definitely need your W-2 to complete your tax returns. We cannot do your tax return with your last pay stub. It may not be accurate. So it is not a good idea to just bring in your pay stubs in order to get your taxes done, especially at a VITA site. Um, and of course, filing your tax return will let you know whether or not you get a refund or you owe. Only one of those things happen at a time because I think it's a little confusing sometimes. So sometimes we tell people they owe and then they're like, oh, I'm not getting, so how much is my refund? You either had an overpayment, which is why you get a refund. Think about like going to the store. When you have an overpayment of taxes, they refund you the amount, or based on your filing status and the credits that you owe, you are getting a refund. When you owe the IRS or the state, there isn't money coming to you. You have to pay them. This due date, as talked about before when we talk about penalties, this April 15th due date is for people who owe taxes, who have to pay. Because on the 16th of April, they will be applying a penalty for your late payment, as well as you will start to accrue interest on what you owe. And interest is compounded daily at a certain rate per dollar, and that will continue until you pay. And whatever amount you pay, whatever is left, interest continues. And I believe a lot of times the IRS will do it in a bracket of like 3 months or so. So you might get a letter saying you have to pay this amount by this date and such with the IRS. This due date is important. If you know you owe, you need to file an extension. We do help people with filing extensions, and you can start reaching out to us in the beginning of April about filing extensions if you know you owe the IRS and you're not able to file your taxes by the 15th of April. What the extension does, it helps you not get the penalty for filing late. It does not stop the fact that on the 16th of April, your interest will start accruing. Next. Okay, so of course the basics is that federal taxes are taken out, should be taken out of your paycheck. An indication that the right amount of taxes are taken out of your paycheck, by the time you hit about 20 to $25,000 for the year, they should be taking something that looks like 10% just on that federal line of taxes. If your W-2 um, doesn't reflect about a 10% in box two, when you're looking at your W-2 form, a lot of times you may end up owing if you are filing as a single person specifically, um, because your standard deduction, which we may, I'm sure, get into later, will is how that's affected, right? Um, your employer should be giving you the W-2. We mentioned you have to use the W-2 to file your taxes. Um, and you could possibly lower your taxable income by itemizing. But if you're going to itemize your tax return, your tax return, you have to have more. It has to be more than your standard deduction, which we will be getting into. If you can go next, please. So this is the W-2 that we keep talking about, and I mentioned box numbers. If you notice here, there are boxes that has amounts in them. So box one is that gross income we spoke about, is the federal taxable amount is box one, right? This is not necessarily your gross income. Box one is your federally taxable income. This is usually after things that are in the box in the 12 in the 12 boxes. In 12 they usually take out your pension and things like that, and that comes out. But if you notice that the Social Security and the Medicaid in the box 3 and box 5 are different, because that is your gross. So you will usually be taxed on what is your total income for Social Security and Medicaid benefits for the purposes of that. But then when it comes to your federal income, it will be something that's adjusted to money that's taken out that's supposed to be pre-tax money. A lot of pre-tax money we will eventually pay taxes on later, but at this time we are not that's not being taxed, right? Box two is that federal amount withheld, and if you notice, this does represent that close to 10%, like I talked about, that should be taken out because I think it's 39,000 or something that's up there or something to that effect. And of course, box two, your Social Security is about 12 something percent. And when you have an employer, your employer actually pays half of that. So you are paying, are contributing, I should say, half of it. You are then responsible to 6 point something percent of it. And the same for your Medicaid. The Medicaid percent is about 3 point something. You are responsible to 1.7 or something like that, or 1.6 on your own. When you are self-employed, you are then responsible for 100% of this. So off the top, you will be responsible for about 15% or so because it's the 12 and change and about the 3 for box 4 and 6, which is Social Security and the Medicare. And so that's one of the differences with being self-employed is that you are then responsible for this full amount that's due to you. When you go down, there are boxes, as I mentioned before. These box 12 are usually pre-tax monies taken out, and box 14 are monies that are taken out, but they're not pre-taxed. So this is usually where you would see like your union dues and things like that usually falls into here. There are certain disability, things that you pay towards that end up in this box. Sometimes this is where you would see if you were on workers' comp, if they don't issue you a workers' comp money separately, it may be here in this box, and sometimes it may not have been taxed at the time you're receiving it. So it may get taxed now, and that may mean that you owe taxes because of that. Um, then when you go down to the bottom row, you see here, this is your state section. 16 and 18 will say the income that's being taxed by your state. If you notice, it usually matches what's in box one, unless there's something that the federal government is not taxing you on that your state chooses to tax you on, which is very rare that that happens. Um, If you are a New York City employee and you're not paying city taxes, you would end up owing. This is one of the most common reasons people usually end up owing the state is that they're only paying state incomes. Um, Usually, actually, postal workers is one of the main ones that end up in this situation. For some reason, only state taxes are taken. They never take city taxes, or sometimes they have zero state taxes taken from them and they owe it at the time they file. Next. All right, this is the 1040 form. This is a two-page form that shows all of your information. It's a summary of what your taxes look like for the year. It has all your personal information on it, so your name, your address, your dependents information on it. Your filing status will be here, and as you go down the form, it will tell you what your adjusted gross income is. It'll tell you um, it breaks down what you were taxed. It'll even show somewhere here, if you had Social Security that was taxed, it'll show you how much. So let's say your Social Security you received this year was 35,000, and based on what you earned on a W-2, they taxed $10,000 of it when it was taxed. It'll actually show that breakdown on the form. All right, next. Protecting your personal information and scams. This every year, this is a big deal. Um, Akila, you got this?
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
So, let me put my camera on. All right. Thank you, Takia. So basically, we want to talk about protecting your personal information. We're talking about PII. In the field, we call it PII, but you would know it as your greatest asset, which is your identity. Basically, there's people out there whose whole job it is to steal your identity. Why is that? Because they want some of the things that you have. That's their job. But we want to make sure that you protect your identity. So you're going to make sure that you do some fail safes to protect that. You definitely have to make sure that your social security card is in a place where no one else can get access to it. When you bring that to one of our tax sites, we will look at it for your, just as part of our obligation to the IRS when we do your taxes, but we will give it right back to you. You put that in someplace safe. So you're protecting also your passwords, your date of birth, your tax info. There's information on there such as your AGI that people can use to get information about you from the IRS. So you protect all of that. And you can't be too careful about protecting your PII. I think we all know. Generally, so there's two different ways. There's two different types of scams. Basically, there's IRS related scamming, but there's also the regular one that we mostly know. So on our form, we have an intake form when you come into the tax site, and it'll ask you if you've got that, if you've been a victim of a scam, but basically we're talking about specifically IRS related tax scam. That means that someone used your social security number to file taxes or one of your children's. So we want to know if that information has been out there. So basically you can get what's called an IP pin, and that's something you can get from the IRS so that way your identity is corrected. Now each year you would have to get a new IP pin. So you wouldn't be able to use the one you used last year. So you couldn't show up at a tax site and say, "Oh, I had that last year, and you should be able to look me up." That's not the way it works. It's to protect your identity is each year. Okay, so and another thing to do is make sure you are very aware of phishing. The IRS never contacts you by text. They don't send you a text saying, "Hey, we have some information that you need to check into your IRS account about. So could you please respond to this particular text message or email?" The IRS contacts you by mail. And when they contact you by mail, it's going to be something that's laser printed, because what I've seen around a lot of people getting letters now that are printed on either dot matrix or dot matrix or even the office jet printers, and it's clearly not an official form. So you have to be very vigilant. Make sure to protect your ID. If you have questions, you call the IRS directly. You can either visit the TAC office, the Taxpayer Assistance Center that Max has mentioned. There's one in downtown Brooklyn, and you can talk to someone there. If you have questions, you can also come into a Grow Brooklyn tax site and speak with the site manager there who can assist you and let you know whether or not that is a legitimate letter from the IRS. So, again, please protect your personally identifying information. It's vital. Next slide. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Michaela and Takia. We'll have you back in a moment, talk more about your services and how to get in contact with you. But now we're going to turn it over to our Senior Director of the Consumer Economic Advocacy Program here at Build Up Justice NYC, Tamara Doug Harmon. Tamara, you
Hi,
can take
thank
it from
you
here.
so much, Kendra. Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us. As Kendra mentioned, my name is Tamara Del Carmen, and I am the Senior Program Director of the Consumer and Economic Advocacy Program at Build Up Justice NYC. This evening, I'll be going over some changes under the new tax law called One Big Beautiful Bill Act, also known as OBA. OBA was signed into law on July 4th, 2025. Next slide, please. Under OBA, there is a new deduction, and that new deduction is the no tax on tips. And that basically means that anyone who is a single filer can deduct up to $25,000 of qualified tips from their federal income taxes, and that amount can go up to $50,000 for married filing jointly taxpayers. The amounts of the deduction will start phasing out or going down once a single filer's income is at $150,000, and for married filing jointly taxpayers, it is $300,000. Now, who can claim this deduction? Workers who receive voluntary tips, such as wait staff, bartenders, salon workers, and gig workers, such as Lyft drivers. And note that this does not apply to automatic service chargers, and anyone who files with an ITIN or individual taxpayer identification number cannot claim this deduction. Next slide, please. The next deduction is the no tax on overtime. Workers can deduct qualified overtime pay, which is basically the half in time and a half pay from federal income tax. So this deduction is capped at $12,500 for the year, and it's $25,000 for married filing jointly. This deduction starts to phase out or goes down for incomes for single filers who earn $150,000, and for married filing jointly taxpayers, it is at $300,000. For this deduction, ITIN taxpayers are not eligible to claim as well. Next slide, please. The senior deduction. This is a new senior deduction, and seniors who are age 65 years old or over can deduct up to $6,000 per individual, or $12,000 for married filing jointly to reduce their taxable income. This deduction phases out for taxpayers with incomes over $75,000 if filing single, and $150,000 if married filing jointly. ITIN taxpayers are not eligible to claim this deduction. Next slide, please. New tax on car loan interest. Taxpayers can deduct up to $10,000 in interest paid annually on new U.S. assembled vehicle loans, and this tax deduction applies to any type of personal use cars, SUVs, and trucks. This deduction begins to phase out for taxpayers with incomes over $100,000 for single tax filers and $200,000 for married filing jointly taxpayers. This deduction doesn't apply to any type of used vehicles, leased vehicles, and vehicles with final assembly outside of the United States. Next slide, please. Tax credits. So the child tax credit for 2025, for the 2025 tax year filing, has increased to $2,200 per child. The additional child tax credit, which is the refundable portion of the child tax credit, is up to $1,700 per child. Both the child and the taxpayer, which is at least one spouse if married filing jointly, must have a valid Social Security number in order to claim the child tax credit and the additional child tax credit. There's an other dependent credit, and that's $500 non-refundable credit for dependents who do not qualify for the child tax credit, such as ITIN holders, dependent parents, or children who are 17 years old and older. Next slide, please. The earned income tax credit. For 2025, the maximum EITC for joint filers with 3 or more children is $8,046 and up to $649 for single filers with no dependents. And every taxpayer and qualifying child must have a Social Security number if you're claiming the earned income tax credit. Next slide, please. Important deadlines and tips. So we're going to get down to very important deadlines. We are officially in tax filing season. As of January 27th, the IRS and New York State Department of Tax and Finance began accepting and processing 2025 tax returns, which means the filing season is about 13 weeks. So your tax returns for 2025, IRS, federal, and state, are due April 15th. If you cannot file your taxes by April 15th, you should request an extension. And you request that extension before April 15th. You will then get an extended date to file your returns of October 15th. So after you request an extension, you will then need to file your tax returns by October 15th. Next slide, please. So just a couple of things. You want to make sure that you file smart to get your refund faster. And we recommend filing electronically and choosing direct deposit. You want to avoid those paper returns. Filing a paper return will add an additional 6 to 8 weeks of time to process that return. Also, as of September 2025, the IRS is no longer going to be issuing paper refund checks. So it's very important that when you file your return, you list on your return a bank account where you can actually receive the direct deposit of your refund. You also want to make sure that you gather all of your forms before preparing that return, including your W-2s, your 1099s, your 1095A, the documents that Takia had gone over some, and make sure that you also have any type of unemployment income, gig work, bank interest on all bank accounts accounted for. Yeah, so I'm looking at the question. The IRS is no longer going to issue paper checks. So what they're planning to do is either send it by direct deposit or also send out the refunds through like a debit card. There will be some exceptions if there's no other means of the taxpayer of receiving that, but for the most part, the IRS is phasing out the paper returns, and they want to make sure, well, they're trying to issue the refunds directly with direct deposit. And there was a regulation that had gone out for that by the IRS this past September. You want to also double check everything on your return. Make sure your name, your address, social security number, your ITIN is correct, and you want to report all of your income. You also want to know the timelines. Generally, earned income tax credit, child tax credit refunds are released after mid-February, and most e-file refunds arrive within 21 days. So if you file your return and you're wondering where your tax refund is, you can log on to you can go to the irs.gov website and use the Where's My Refund app on that website, and you can actually track your refund status. Next slide, please. Avoiding, I believe okay, we'll go through avoiding common mistakes. So you want to file electronically, double check your info. And if you're getting the refund, confirm your bank account and routing numbers. I have to say, unfortunately, we've represented clients who have listed incorrect bank accounts, whether it was an error on their end or it was the tax preparer, and we've had to help them resolve getting their refund after it has been sent to somebody else's account. And then the final steps is to make sure that you sign and date your return, and always, always keep a copy of your return for your records. Next slide, please. How to file for an extension. If you are unable to file your returns by April 15th, file an extension. And in order to file for a federal tax extension, you're going to file what's called Form 4868. And this is going to be submitted. You must submit this by the tax deadline, and it could be filed online by going onto the irs.gov website and then choosing an IRS free file option that is listed on the official irs.gov website. For New York State, in order to get an extension for New York State, you have to file Form IT-370, and this is done by going on to the tax.ny.gov website, and you can apply for the extension directly on New York State's website to get that extension. A couple of other things or reminders, because I know Takia had mentioned this. The extension gives you more time to file, but not more time to pay. So you should estimate what you owe and try to pay the regular, pay the that amount by the regular deadline in order to avoid interest. And you want to submit that by the tax deadline. So again, just make sure that when you file for the extension, it just gives you more time to file, not more time to pay. Next slide, please. So this time I'm going to pass it back to Mikila.
Wonderful. Okay, next slide, please. So Grow Brooklyn, as I stated before, has been doing the Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program for several years. It's an IRS-sponsored program, and it offers free, accurate tax prep. The reason we know that it's accurate is because we go through all of the IRS tests in order to do this. It's staffed by both volunteers and paid staff. We are not only we're funded by the City of New York Office of Financial Empowerment, and we are able to deliver these services during the 13-week tax season. We also work outside the tax season as well, and all of our services are free. So we are preparing taxes for free for anyone who has an income of $97,000 or less if they have dependents, anyone with $68,000 or less without dependents, and also those who are self-employed with $50,000 of expenses for the VITA program. But if you have more than that, we go through our self-employed tax prep program. So in order to work with us, you must have an appointment. You can get appointments at www.growbrooklyn.org/free taxes. And all of our sites are there. This year we have 30 sites that we can assist you in with some of our partners, our main location, and some pop-up sites with elected officials. We work in the offices of these folks to deliver this quality service. We can help you with any of the items you see here. We work with people, it runs the gamut. If it's your first paycheck to if it's your first retirement paycheck, we work with you. Thank you, Kendra. And so we also have, as I mentioned, the self-employed tax prep program, which is called SATP. It works with small business owners up to $250,000 in expenses. That means if you buy your uniforms, you rent a truck for your business, and that kind of thing. We can help you with that. We help you with both quarterly and annual um, returns. And you can reach us at the same URL to get those appointments. Our phone number is, I can say next slide, please. Yeah, so I'm not sure how clear that is because we do have a lot of locations, but these are where you can find us. And our phone number is 347-682-5606. And you can make an appointment. Please be patient because all of New York City is calling us to try to get their taxes done for free. Okay, thank you.
Okay, I can take it from here. And this is Build Up Justice NYC's low income tax clinic program, where we offer help with filing the delinquent tax returns, earned income credit. We also do litigation in court. If that ever gets to that point, you do have attorneys here who can help. Audit assessments, employment tax liability, and more. So please, if you would like to schedule an appointment, you can call us at 718-487-2300. In a couple of slides, you'll also see that we offer every other Thursday a drop-in tax table where you can sit down for 15 minutes, individual with a representative from Grow Brooklyn and Build Up Justice to speak specifically about your tax situation. So that'll be up in about one or two slides. And we do have income. This is the slide here, our drop-in tax tables. So it's every other Thursday, 15 minutes. I believe someone in the Q&A, Lisha Manning asked, will the recording be sent out? Yes, I will be sending you the link to this presentation, and you'll have all these resources also. And with that, I am going to open up the floor for questions. If you have questions, feel free to type them in the box, or you can use the hand raise feature to ask your question directly to any of the specialists.
So, Kendra, I think Michelle had a question regarding the additional $6,000 for individuals over 65.
Thank you.
And so seniors who are age 65 and over can claim a new additional $6,000 tax deduction. And that deduction is in addition to the standard deduction. And that begins to phase out for single filers once their income is at $75,000. And if married filing jointly, it phases out when income is at $150,000. So yes, that's a new additional deduction. So it's $6,000 for single filers and it's $12,000 for married filing jointly taxpayers. Thank you, Michelle, for your question.
Yes, thank you, Tamara. Okay, so I'm going to give another minute if they're typing their questions. I don't want to end it too fast, or if you prefer to raise your hand. Um, yes.
I actually
Ayat?
wanted to add something before we go
Yes.
on. This is Takia. I just wanted to add something. When we talked about your time limits with filing your taxes, what I forgot to mention is that it is important to file your back taxes because you have up to 3 tax years to claim refunds. Only 3 years. You can pay in infinity, but when it comes to claiming a refund, there is a limit. So, like this year is the last year you can claim a refund for your tax year 2022, but you must mail that in. You could no longer electronically file 2022.
Thank you. Very good to know. Thalius, I'm going to unmute you. Oh, I'm sorry, I muted you too fast. Here we go.
Hi, good night. I was I wanted to ask two questions. So the part where they were talking about for the college, yeah, I was a little interested in that one. I want to know when you filing for the taxes with that college, the part about the college, is that only for the students to do for themselves when they're filing, or is that for the parents to do when they're filing? Or like I'm trying to understand, like if the student isn't like if the student is living on campus and they're not with their parents, is it supposed to be the students filing on their own and doing that part, or is it supposed to be me that's supposed to do it if my child is still living with me and going to college at the same time?
If you are claiming your child, you would claim the 1098T form.
Okay, so then that would be on my part, not
Correct.
my child.
Any parent who's claiming a child that's in college that
Mhm.
is getting a 1098T form, they
Mhm.
would claim that form.
Okay, got you. And then the second question I had was I wanted to sign up to file for my taxes with the Grow Brooklyn because I've done it before, but I used to do it at the location that was downtown Brooklyn, not too far from Juniors, but they're no longer there anymore. So I don't know, how do I?
You can still call the number that was given to you by Makila, or you can go online and see if you can file for yourself. Our base now is in Rogers. We're in BPL? Is that the area called now? I forgot. I
Crown
just got it now.
Heights, Crown Heights,
It is
PLG,
Crown. Okay, PLG. That's the
East
thing. I'm sorry.
Flatbush. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. The neighborhood didn't change. So that's the one that a lot of people are coming to next to that. Borough Hall still has some days, not as many, but you can call in and they will be able to assist you to get the best appointment and the most convenient location for you based on where you live or where you work.
Okay. Yeah, I'm more closer to the one you mentioned on Rogers. So I guess that would be the best one.
Perfect.
Okay,
I see a question in
awesome.
the chat.
Yes, I can read it for you.
Um, sure, okay.
Sure. Erica asked, one of my husband employers told him that they will not calculate the overtime. However, they told me to check the last pay stub because the overtime per week and throughout the year is there. Is there a special calculation I have to do?
Just bring the stub to us. We'll do it. I've had to do that. We've had to use the last pay stub for the calculation, or even to make sure what they have in box 14 is what is supposed to be there, meaning that it doesn't give the whole amount and just the premium, because you're only getting the the premium part of your overtime as an exemption um, for your taxes. So once you bring it to us, we'll do it.
And when you separate it out and do all those calculations, they don't get taxed on that overtime if they're at a certain income limit.
Right, the premium part of it, which is 1/3 of
Got it.
whatever the gross amount is for the amount of hours they've worked.
Awesome.
And
Thank you.
and just adding to what Takia said, like generally, when Takia had mentioned, that box 14 on your W-2 or bringing in your last pay stub. So to calculate that time and a half, you would divide the total overtime by like 3, and then that would calculate that. And if there's double time, then you would divide it by 4. But contact Grow Brooklyn, and they will accurately calculate the overtime.
Yeah. Also, there are some of our city agencies people work at where they're getting a letter that gives the premium. It's giving the actual premium. That number doesn't need to do any math for. In my experience, they've already done it for you. So they're getting a separate letter. I know the MTA is one of the agencies that is doing that. For their workers, they're getting an actual letter in the mail with the premium amount. So please do look out in the mail, or if you have if you have access online to your HR information, check and see if they've added anything additional there for you.
Thank
After
you.
this year, it wouldn't be a math problem anymore, by the way, because they will be adding it to that box 12, like I previously talked about. Box 12 has all the things that are coming out
Exactly.
pre-tax. So it will be added in box 12, so we don't have to do any gymnastics after this year. But this is the first year, so we're having a little bit of growing pains, but we're getting it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Erica, yes, please bring all of them in to be sure, just to make sure.
Amazing. Oh, wow. We have a special guest on the line today. Senator Comrie, thank you so much for joining us. Super excited to have you here. I know you're working late, and I am so appreciative that you're able to hop on. I'll turn it over to you.
Well, I want to thank you all for doing this and providing these opportunities for my constituents and constituents in general. So it's important that we have these seminars and let people know what's available. I want to thank Grow Brooklyn and Build Up Justice, and you're working with the IRS and getting the proper certifications and being up to date on things so that our constituents can have help. Excuse me, it's been a long day. I'm running out of words. But we are looking to do whatever we can to provide opportunities for folk to come to safe places, certified places, and places that are IRS certified as well, so that they can have issues, try to deal with the issues around their taxes. And I'll leave it there. I appreciate this. This is just one of 3 seminars. If you have any other needs or concerns, please don't hesitate to contact these 2 numbers that are up on the screen right now, or reach out to my office. I remind you, if you come to my office, don't bring any papers that you can't lose, because we don't keep copies of anything. If you're bringing tax papers to our office, make sure that you are taking them home with you. We can make copies and send them to these 2 locations, but we do not keep any originals. We just don't have the capacity. So I just want to remind people of that during this time. I want to thank Patrice for holding on while I was stuck. I'm still in Albany. I'm at my desk now in Albany. We just finished a conference at 7 o'clock. A little bit after 7, I came back over here because I just really wanted to appreciate everything that you're doing to help our community, and whatever I can do in my capacity, I'm glad to make that happen. Thank
Senator
you.
Comrie, thank you so much. I just saw you 2 weeks ago at Caucus Weekend and see how much you're running around up there. Then I see you down here in Queens. I don't know how you're everywhere at the same time, but I really thank you for consistently supporting initiatives that really does expand access to economic stability throughout not only Queens, but the entire city. We are grateful for your work and your leadership, and look forward to our continued
You too,
partnership.
Sister Dunson. Thank you for your efforts and your desire to make this happen and to improve it and to increase the ability for our constituents to have these services. So
Yes.
I'm going to run. I got to jump on another event real quick, and I promised my colleague that I would catch his event before it ends at 8 o'clock. So it's just one of those nights in Albany. So, Take
Yes.
care,
Thank you.
everybody. Patrice, thank you. She has her information in the contact list. Please don't hesitate to reach out to any of these groups or our office if you have any concerns. Thank you. Have a blessed night.
Good night. And with that, I don't see any other questions in the chat. There are no hand raises. Please note that we will be sending the recording around after next week, along with any of this information, how to contact us and sign up for the tax table. Here is a slide on the tax table again. Also, we do have two more sessions coming up in the series. We're going to get a little bit more in depth in credits, refund, and money you may be missing. And then talking about self-employment, avoiding tax problems. We're also going to talk about offers and compromises. I know there's a lot of stuff online where people are charging to do these services. We'll talk to you about that. And then also there's a lot of concern about filing if you do not have a social security number. So we're going to go into a couple of more in-depth sessions here. So please feel free if you haven't registered to register and spread the word. With that, does anyone have any last words on the panel that they would like to share uh, with the viewers?
I just want to say thank you very much to our colleagues at Build Up Justice, and thank you all for being such a great audience.
I just want to
And
echo that. Thank you, Grow Brooklyn. Thank you to all of our elected officials, Senator Comrie, and thank you so much, Kendra, for bringing it all together. If anyone needs to contact us, do not wait to reach out to us. We can help you.
Same
Yes.
for me. Thank you for having us. Thank you for allowing me to be part of your panel and share the knowledge. And thank you for those who participated in the chat because I'm sure other people had the same questions they asked.
And yes, thank you.
Also, we file extensions.
Uh, Make sure you file the extension before April 15th.
Yes. Thank you all so very much. You can register for all three of these at the same time or one by one. But thank you, Grow Brooklyn. Thank you, Michaela, Fedrice, Max, Takia, and Tamara. I appreciate all of your work. This was not one person. This is really truly a group effort. And look forward to continuing to bring more information to everyone. Have a great night.